This episode of Whiskey Riff Raff is brought to you by Templeton Whiskey. Originally distilled in the Prohibition era, Templeton Whiskey has always been rooted in the notion that every bottle is an opportunity to share their small-town strong spirit with the world. From their flagship variety of rye whiskey to the top-shelf specialties, there's something for everyone to enjoy, whether sipping it neat while relaxing on the porch or mixing it in your favorite cocktail for a party. Templeton Whiskey isn't just a liquor brand for when you need a strong drink, it's a way of life.
All right, we got our guy Randall King here. Episode brought to you by Templeton Rye Whiskey. We had a little more because the schedules got a little thrown off. So we've been sitting here having a little extra. But Randall, what's going on, man? How you been?
Been good, brother. Been good. Is the whiskey good?
It is good, yeah. I actually, do you drink rye at all? Because I just now started getting into it a little more, and I'm like, man, I really like it. It's
yeah,
nice.
Man. I'm to the point now in my life where if I drink whiskey, it's gonna be a sipping whiskey, and I'm having like that's I like it for the flavor.
Yeah,
I don't have crazy on whiskey no more. This shit got me in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
None of that rot gut bottom of the barrel stuff anymore.
What's the drink of choice then these days? If you're just beer,
Casamigos.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big tequila connoisseur. I love a good tequila. Love it all. Blanco, Reposado, like Anejo. I'll take.
You Texas guys, yeah. It's like
have you had straights tequila?
I have, man, and that's
really smooth.
Like right standing behind you. That's funny. Yeah, man. His tequila's so smooth. It's dead. That's just dangerous because it doesn't hit you right away. You take a drink, you're like, man, this tastes good. I feel good. And then like you're half a bottle in before you know it. And then it hits you and then you're just gone.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of Texas Tech, you went there, right? That's where
I did. Yeah, man. I didn't graduate.
I was going to ask, are you one of those, like you kind of one day will go, you see a lot of like NFL players, like when they retire, they go back and get their degree or whatever. Are you one of those where you kind of want to finish the job one day or you don't care?
Hell no. I'm good at that. I went for business, man. And I went for 3 semesters and I got one good semester out of it, which was my very first semester that I went to Tech. And it's because I was actually focused on my classes. I don't know if you've ever been to Lubbock, Texas and walked around. No. I'm sure you've been any college campus you go to. Yeah. You understand when you walk around. As a man, the distractions that are at college, and my focus was not on school, and I stayed in my dorm room writing songs, and I blew the next 2 semesters off and wasted a lot of my dad's money. And I called him and had to tell him what I was going to do, and I was like, look, this whole business degree, it's not working out for me, and I'm not going to keep going and put money in this and wasting your time, wasting your money, wasting my time. And I switched over to South Plains College in Levelland, which is, Waylon Jennings started a studio there. There's been all sorts of people that come out of South Plains. I got a sound tech degree and started grinding, learning how to produce records, which is where we're at now.
Yeah, well, McConaughey, real quick, I just saw a Matthew McConaughey clip where he was talking about his dad. When he told his dad he wasn't going to be a lawyer, that he wanted to go be an actor, thinking his dad, I think maybe would have reacted differently, but it was more like, I think he was happy to hear it be like, oh, you sound like you actually are going to do what you want to do. And then that's all that matters. Right.
And you know what you want to do. You have a clear plan for it, and that speaks volumes. I'm actually reading this book.
Oh, so, Greenlight.
Yeah, Greenlight. Man, that's such a great book.
The stories are just
they're crazy. Like the things he went through are just not like nobody has those kind of stories like that. Like that book is intense.
Yeah. I dropped out of law school, but the government paid for it, so I still am on the hook for that. Not my dad.
Yeah. I was gonna say when you can't get the cosign loans, it's like I'm in that boat too, man.
He took money out of his 401k, but everything else was student loans. And I still got a stack of student loans from all that. But technically, Texas Tech has 18 grand in my money, so I call myself a Red Raider, degree or not. Like I earned that.
Absolutely.
I earned that
Yeah.
shit. I earned it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, me and Steve went to I grew up in a pretty small town, and Steve grew up in a smaller town as well, across the Indiana border. But we went to college in Chicago, and I think now we both, like, football starts up. Didn't have a football team, so now
Yeah.
that, like, football's starting back, we're like, man, we, like, missed that whole
Oh, yeah.
college game
Yeah, man.
day tailgate Saturday. I mean, there's guys 45 years old who put on the polo and they go to the bar on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And I'm like,
Oh,
fuck,
yeah.
I want to do that. I
Yeah.
want to do that. I need a school.
Yeah.
My loyalty now just revolves around gambling and who won me money the previous week and who do I think is going to cover. Like that's my.
Man, I love that's gambling's half the fun and watching football in my book. But the whole town of Lubbock, when it's game day, just the entire environment changes. It's insane. And the tailgates that they throw out there, when they've got a full stage out there that they do big shows. I mean, William Clark Green's a Red Raider, so he'll go out there and he'll play the big stage out there at the tailgate. And like those are, you don't even have to go to the game. Like just go to the
Josh
tailgates.
Abbott too, big
Oh.
Texas Tech guy.
Abbott, Flatland, all those, you know.
All those
And you were-
panhandlers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. So you're from a small town too in West Texas, right? And then you went to school at Texas Tech. Did that, and now moved to Nashville, I believe. Like, do you look back and kind of the small town feel and light? Like, did that help kind of find your path to songwriting and playing, or do you think it would have been different if you grew up in a different area?
Yeah, man, I think I think about it growing up in like a city, sure, you know.
Yeah.
I think country music's so much more relatable to small towns because it's more simplified. It's you know, it's dirt road anthems, you know what I mean? Like it's tailgate, back road, growing up small town living. That's country music and that just really go hand in hand. So for me, I don't know that if I'd grown up in a big city, if it would have if I'd be where I'm at, you know, it's your character. You're shaped by where you're growing up.
You wouldn't have that voice either, probably that little twang.
Yeah, that too.
And you're a West Texas guy. What's kind of the difference between like the West Texas versus East Texas for people who don't know? I've only been to Austin.
That's a big
once.
difference.
Like, can you kind of explain a couple of the nuances?
It's
just
its own country. A lot
like
of people
it's
say.
so big
Yeah,
and
man.
vast and different across the state.
Man, Texas is literally like when they say it can be its own country, like we could literally branch off and be our own country. Like we can. You
have like the 10th biggest economy in the world or something like that.
You know, I live in Nashville, but and my girlfriend thinks I'm crazy, but I live in Nashville, but I keep my Texas license. She's like, why do you make shit harder on yourself? Just go get a Tennessee license. You live here. And I was like, I don't feel like at that point, like I'm always a Texan, but
And it's official.
And if Texas revolts and we do pull away, like I want
back in.
so
Yeah.
like there's different cultures within the state. So the Panhandle, which is where I'm from, isn't technically West Texas. It's the Panhandle, which is the most northern part of Texas. So it's not North Texas. It's not West Texas. It's kind of weird. It's its own little thing. And honestly, like the area up there kind of reflects Oklahoma to a point as far as like landscape goes. And then you have West Texas, which is like El Paso and Big Bend. And I don't know a whole lot of people who are from that area. Most of those people are kind of Charlie Stout vibes. I don't know if you know who Charlie Stout is. No, songwriter out of West Texas. Just very Western, Americana type vibe. And then you got East Texas, which is its own entity, which is like the Whiskey Myers type of a vibe.
Swampier.
Swampy. Is that what you said, Wes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of swampy. But it's mostly like that culture is very backwoods, rowdy, redneck, and it's just got its own, like it's like a rockin' vibe. It's just they even talk a little different in East Texas versus like West Texas. So it's a different culture for sure. Good people all around. You're not gonna run across bad people no matter where you go in Texas for sure, but very different. And then we don't like Austin just its own.
Dallas is finance guys. Houston oil guys.
Yeah, Houston's oil. Dallas is finance for sure. Fort Worth is Cowboy stockyards. And then Austin, being as political as it is, some people are like, Austin, we don't even know if that's Texas. Everything around Austin.
What are some of your favorite, when you go play, like maybe it's a small town or maybe it's bigger cities, do you have favorites across the country outside of Texas even? Maybe it's a smaller place, maybe it's a bigger venue, a bigger city. Do you have any, like, kind of when you see it on the calendar, you kind of circle it and you're excited to go? Not to throw anybody under the bus. You're like everywhere, of course, but
yeah. Well, I mean, God, there's some where I'm at today, the Crystal Palace is in Bakersfield. Honestly, that's been a bucket list since I was a kid. I've wanted to come out here. Me and my dad wrote out goals for myself when I was a kid because he said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "Well, first off," I said, "Daddy, I don't want to offend you or nothing, but I don't want to be a trucker." And he goes, "Well, hell, son, I don't want you to be a trucker. What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to play country music." And I actually said, "Well, I don't want to be away from home as often as you are. I want to play country music." Traded one road line.
One truck for a bus.
Yeah, man. So we wrote out goals of all the places that I wanted to play and the things I wanted to do.
That's a good practice.
Yeah, man. I'm a firm believer in you speak it, you believe it, you see it. Mm-hmm. And so we spoke those goals into existence and those bucket lists. And so far, like on the list was the Ryman, and I got to knock that out in 2019. Billy Bob's knocked that out in 2019. Green Hall knocked that out as a headliner in 2020. I've gotten to play all these places, and the Troubadour was listed on there, and the Crystal Palace. And I knocked off the Troubadour in Los Angeles, California yesterday. And we're knocking out Bakersfield today. So there's so many.
Picturing you in LA is like
what's a Troubadour crowd like? Because I know where the venue is. I've driven by it, but like it's such a historic place. But like, and a lot of country acts roll through there. But I'm almost like,
it's not
where's the crowd come from?
Yeah, it comes from the act and who they and their fan base that they pull, because it's not a built-in crowd. Like, it's not a bar that people are just going to go buy a ticket just to hang out at the Troubadour. Yeah. It's a venue, and the people that go in there are the clientele of the fan base. So for us, we put, it's a 400 cap room in our first time in LA. I think we put 200, something like that, on a Wednesday. Like, that would take that as a big win for us. And it was my fan base. They were rowdy, honky tonk. Like, we turned the legendary Troubadour that kickstarted Elton John in America. Like, so many famous people have played this place. Like, Guns N' Roses had their big debut there. So it's not necessarily a honky tonk, but we, by God, turned it into one in Los Angeles, California last night.
Nice. I like that.
I asked you before we got started, do you have any Buck Owens covers on the repertoire tonight?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to practice them a little bit. It's been a minute since I played anything, but like, if I bust one out, like Tiger by the Tail or Act Naturally. Mm-hmm. And Act Naturally, that's easy. They're gonna put me in the movie. It's like, come on.
Easy.
Man, I love it. They actually let me go in. I'm sitting in the green room here, but Buck Owens has his own. Had his own private green room, and they let me go through and walk through. And in the closet, in his next to his shower in there, he's still got all his clothes. Like he's got a nudie suit in there. And I went and just checked it out. Like, man, there's so much history in this place. It's unreal. I'm excited. It's gonna be cool.
What we also, another thing, we were talking about some of the people that you were talking about, Wes, before we hit record, behind Wes, a lot of different albums we've got sent to us, some signed. Muscadine Bloodline, we were kind of talking about them. Who right now, maybe your friend or whatever, are you kind of digging with what they're doing out there? Because you're the perfect, and I'm not trying to just compliment you real quick, but like you have an energy and like kind of a, I don't know, I hate the word vibe, but you have a word, like a vibe that works with that 90s feel, but you're true country, but I don't feel like you're a guy that's like, you can kind of accept other forms of country. Probably like, hey, that's a catchy song. It might be pop country, but that's fine. So are there any surprises about maybe something you're digging right now, or somebody you're friends with, or like that?
You know, first off, I'm a music lover. I love it all. I take music for what it is, and I appreciate artistry. There's a lot of guys that are kicking ass coming up. We've taken on quite a few of them and putting them on shows with us. And then there's guys that are just like Muscadine, blowing up, doing things the independent way, just knocking open doors that people are telling them you can't go through. And they're just saying, no, we're doing it. And then we're doing it our way, and they're killing it. And I love it. And I'm super proud of them. So the young kids that I just love, man. One's my buddy, Jake Worthington. I can listen to Jake Worthington sing. He can sing literally the phone book. Like, I love his voice. I love him. He's a great dude. And there's some young kids that are really catching my ear, catching my eye with what they're doing on stage, their performance, their energy. That's Braxton Keith. I love that kid, man. He's killing it. Kylie Fry smokes it. Young kid that I came across at judging a songwriter competition in Stephenville for Larry Joe Taylor. Kid named Palmer Anthony. Just smokes it, dude. Great.
Yeah.
We
We did some stuff on him. We did a couple
Yeah.
little intro article on him.
Yeah, man, he's a badass. We've had him on a few shows too, but there's so many great acts out there, man. And like I said, I'm just a big music fan. I love it all. Kobe Cook's out there killing it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I love Kobe.
We're gonna have him on.
We got him on coming on soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a question I thought of. I told Wes that no guest will ever answer. But who's your best or closest friend in the music industry that's an artist whose music you hate? You're probably not going to answer that.
or don't necessarily like.
I'm not going to answer that.
I was like, there's got to be a thing though, because I know like in Nashville, this is such a hodgepodge of. I mean, you got traditional,
for sure.
You got
man.
90s, you got like massive superstars. You have
some hip hop country stuff.
Yeah, you have like the hip hop blending in with it. Like, and I was like, there's got to be like friendships that kind
just
of
like a nice guy who's like, you're like, oh, I love this dude. I'll drink a beer with him, but I don't really like his music.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone has different opinions on songs and artists and things. I ain't gonna name names. I just don't like fake.
Mm-hmm.
If you
we're with you on that.
And if it's something that you're not like, it's first off, it's not believable, but it's not genuine. Like, I don't know. I'm just if you're gonna be fake, just be authentic. If you're gonna if you're built your music around a certain brand, don't switch. Don't chase shit. Stay true to your brand.
Yeah, I appreciate that choir here.
Yeah,
I think that off-camera conversations.
I think the problem is sometimes people don't have a brand or an identity, and they get to Nashville and they start getting a little bit of traction, and then it's like, well, what do I got to do to get more? What do I got to do to be famous? And then they're willing to kind of bend to stuff. Where a guy like yourself, you're like, you know what you want to sing, you know the music that you like.
Yeah.
from the beginning, and there was never like, hey, let's have
turn you-
Randall rap. And it's like,
Well, it's like you get drafted as a tight end, and they're like, we're gonna make you an outside linebacker. We don't trust you.
right?
It's like, which happens. It happens in sports, and when guys retire early, a lot of times you just hear them. They're like,
quarterback to tight end.
yeah, I'm not. They're like, I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm not putting in the effort that I need to be. And then they're done. They go do something else with their life, and it's like, oh, I see that. I get like, I'm impressed. I'm like, that person had left millions of dollars on the table to do it. But with music, what we tend to see is like people keep changing. Well, this single didn't work. Fuck it. Let's go try this thing. This didn't work. 3 years later from New Level. Let's go try that one. It's like you see it a lot, like a lot.
Well, the machine, the machine works differently for different people. There's a lot of people that'll get signed to a major label, and they've got a great voice, got a good look, but they haven't found themselves musically yet. And then all of a sudden they have a number one on radio, and then they get tossed out there as an opener on these tours, and they have no idea what they're doing because they've never played live. So I think it's a really important thing to find yourself as an artist, hopefully before that success happens. But I mean, you got to congratulate them on the success. Like, dude, that's incredible. Everybody works for that. But you want to be ready and prepared for that success, and have it in the tank, knowing who you are already. Otherwise, everyone's going to pull you every different direction. And then you start chasing number ones, and that's when you get in trouble. It's like going into a writing room in Nashville and going, hey, we're going to write a radio hit today. Well, that's a joke, because you don't know what a radio hit is. You never do. So, and you start chasing that kind of thing, and you're pigeonholing your songs into a watered down version of a song, because you're chasing something that.
Have you been a part of those writing sessions where that's verbatim? One time.
One time I took, again, I won't name names, but my publishing company set me up with the right. And I had this idea in my head, and I already knew where I wanted it to go. I knew what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a Keith Whitley vibe. And it was a song called Hey Moon, which I put on my Leanna EP. And I took Hey Moon to this writer I'd never written with. I had no idea if he was going to vibe it or not. And I pitched it. He was like, I dig it. Then all of a sudden, my melody started changing and the beat started changing, and it was a pop song. And I said, hold on, man. If we're going to write this, like, I know what I want it to be. I want it to be old school. I want it to be this vibe. I was like, man, I just really need to write a hit today. We need to aim for radio. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what.
I need a paycheck, man.
I said, I'm going to take this song. We're going to put it in my back pocket, and I'll save it for a different write. And we'll write if that's what you want to do. I said, I'll write that. I can do it. But we're not doing it with this idea. And we wrote some kind of bubblegum pop song that I don't even remember what it was.
Sitting on a shelf somewhere.
It'll never see the light of day under my brand. I can promise you.
Yeah.
But that kind of thing happens. But
I think Chris Stapleton even said, like, anyone who thinks they can just sit down and write a hit is full of shit. Like,
yeah,
I think that's a direct quote too. Like, you just don't know what's going to catch and what's not. And anyone who thinks they know it some guy, Ashley Gorley, can write a hit seemingly every other damn day. But like,
well, that's because he practices the art of songwriting. He writes every single day. He's focused in and locked in. And when you start having a bunch of hits, you're inspired. So you get even more ideas. So he's a guy, he's phenomenal. Man. Dude, just one of the top tier writers.
I always loved for me, like, as I've gotten older, it's like I appreciate more and more the even, like, I don't want to misspeak, the Alan Jackson's last album. Did he like write every song by himself? I know Aaron Watson did that recently, but
he had like a Merle cover. And
he did a few, but like Alan Jackson is like probably my all-time favorite, and like he's like always writing his stuff and doing his thing, and I'm like, not that I have a problem with cutting outside songs, but you tend to like feel it differently, even with the young guys. And I think what you see Zach Bryan blowing up and not being on radio, it's like, it's pretty obvious why. You know, it doesn't take a rocket, as we like to say, rocket surgeon to to figure it out. But hey, like if you want to go to Nashville and try to chase stuff, it's like just like that, right? 5, 7, 6, 8, 10 years go by, and you're like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
All of a sudden now this is the hip thing. It's like, no, the hip thing is always going to be like authenticity, I think.
Yeah, man. And what's funny is the hip thing is constantly changing. By the time you figure out what's the new cool thing and you start chasing it,
you're late.
Yeah. You can't chase what's cool. That's not a thing.
If you remember when Sam Hunt blew up, which was hilarious because it was kind of around the time like What's Your started, like, and that was such a big thing. And it was like Chris Stapleton too, after the Timberlake thing, when they were getting like bearded guys on The Voice to try to find like burly bearded guys.
Yeah.
It's like, but you can't sing like the guy. But like when Sam Hunt did his thing, which was very different, and you know, some people loved it, obviously a lot of people hated it, but then you saw all these like guys come to Nashville and be like, I'm gonna wear the long tee, I'm gonna do a weird haircut, I'm gonna wear flat bill hat. It's like that doesn't make the thing work, man. And it's just like a lot of those guys that we knew or saw from the periphery, like they're not even making music anymore. Like it's over. Like,
well, I don't know. It's a good thing to see country music and cowboy hats coming back around.
Amen. Yeah.
But now you're watching those same kind of people putting on cowboy hats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And we don't gonna name names again, but we all know who we're talking about.
Well, it's okay. It's a trend. It's a great thing. Like I said, because I'm cowboy hat. I'm country. So
but right now you got McConaughey vibes, which
let's bring that back around. But back to what kind of brand have you built for yourself and the fans that you built? Are your fans going to accept that because they know you as this? So you start changing things. I don't know. I think being true to your brand is a very important thing as an artist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And to me, I feel like you are one of the most like prime examples of like a guy that's kind of cut from the same cloth as George Strait or a Keith Whitley, like really, really just like tight, good country music, honky tonk country music. Shot Glass was like such a phenomenal record. And like, for me, it's like such a breath of fresh air in a way, and kind of pushing that pendulum back towards some of the stuff that, you know, we all kind of grew up on.
Yeah. Dude, well, thank you. Honestly, I'm just trying to put out music I love.
Honky Tonk.
I don't love it. How are you gonna love it? Yeah.
Right.
Oh, come on.
You gotta do it. Like, we gotta send you some more stuff. I know we have, but
yeah. Hey, I'm for it. I got a couple shirts in my bag actually.
And your girlfriend as well. I forgot my fiance girlfriend.
She looks better in the shirt than I do.
But we just launched our Yellowstone, which was exciting, Yellowstone collection. So must have got one on. So some of that stuff is cool. But funny story to kind of switch gears. Wes, did you write it? If you want to kind of take this one, the whole car chase hilarious thing we posted that.
Yeah, just the other day, I think it was last weekend. Guy takes Texas police on a 60-mile chase that ends up at your concert, throws on a concert tee.
They're doing like 135, 140 mile an hour chase, something like that, which is like at that point, like your vehicle starting to get airborne. You have no control over it. That's the scariest chase you can have. That's how people die. So fortunately, he crashed in the field behind the stage, and then it was so weird. I was sitting in the back lounge on the bus, and I was on the phone with my girl, and like I just hear a bunch of commotion, and like all of a sudden my guys are running back there in the back, gearing up, grabbing their hats and shit, and running out the door. And I was like, baby, I think I'm I'm gonna hang up and figure out what the hell is going on. Like all of a sudden, there's just a bunch of now the blue lights are showing up. I'm like, something's wrong, something's weird. So I hang up, and my tour manager comes in, finds me, goes, "Hey, just stay on the bus. I'm gonna get everybody back on the bus. We don't need to get involved with this." This dude crashed the truck, had his duffel bag, tossed it underneath the opener's bus, and this is all while the opener's on stage. So now the cops are there. They've shut the show down. So he's on stage like, well, shit. So he's got to come off stage. They lock the whole venue down. Nobody in, nobody out. This guy had tossed the duffel bag under the opener's shuttle bus. Got in between the bus, like my bus and the trailer, shucked his hoodie, ran inside, walked up to my merch guy, bought a t-shirt, which it's our Desert Coyote t-shirt.
Kind of a genius move, not gonna lie, for a criminal.
Yeah, smart. I'm actually disappointed because his mugshot, he wasn't wearing the shirt. So
But he was super chipper though.
He was happy in them.
Promo.
They took it off.
It was our number one selling shirt that night, by the way, because everyone's asking, what shirt did he buy? We got to buy it. So like that shirt blew up for us. But he buys the shirt, and then I guess he snuck out of the venue somehow. I don't know. They found him like I think a town over or something. But there was an open crime scene, so the show couldn't kick back off until they verified that he wasn't anywhere around. So the opener went back on for the last 30 minutes, closed it, and then we went on a little bit later. And I made sure when I got up there to thank the officers that were working the scene, and I thanked the town, and thanked the driver, because look, I've never had the opportunity to play an open crime scene in my career, so that was cool. That was the first.
What do you know what he did?
Yeah, well,
Just like a warrant running or something?
From my understanding, I think he had robbed somebody. I don't quote me on it because I'm not sure.
Would explain the duffel bag.
What I heard, he robbed somebody and then just stole the vehicle at a gas station. And I've seen a couple of people tweet me out about like, that was my truck. So I think it was their truck. Who knows? Yeah, literally a couple of people. So I don't know.
It's one of your truck. It's not all of your truck.
It ain't my truck.
ain't my truck. Yeah, the guy's super happy in the mugshot. I just pulled
it
it
he's
up.
cheesy. He's just smiling. I was like,
He just wanted to make the local paper.
Speaking, you mentioned the nudie suit earlier, and places you've played. Grand Ole Opry, we had this kind of bookmark to ask you about too. You made your debut there as well earlier this year. You had a nice little outfit.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Is that one of those things where you're like, man, I'm going to get some custom built, or did you have that thing just waiting for that?
Some new alligator boots. Like
I had a custom built. Yeah. So as soon as I found out in January that I was gonna play the Opry, which I found out because I was doing a co-write with Marty Stewart.
Nice.
We got to ride.
No big deal.
Yeah, man. And
it's got a hit or two.
Texted me before the ride. He goes, "Make sure you dress nice." And I was like, "Okay."
Well, you do see some guys go up there with their look.
Yeah.
And you're just like, come on.
Yeah, man.
Like you don't go to a wedding like that.
Yeah. So I showed up right with Marty, and I'm dressed pretty good, at least decent. And I didn't think about taking a picture with Marty or anything. That's like, I was just excited to be in the room. And if we get done, my manager's like, let's take a picture. I was like, okay. And he's like, I can't figure out this phone. I don't know if it's on photo or video. I don't know. I was like, sorry, Marty. He's just kind of senile. He's getting up in his age. Like, it'll be all right. Marty's like, it's okay. Is it on video? He goes, yeah. I was like, well, this is weird. Why do you want it on video? And then he just started it on a thing. You've probably seen it. It was on, I think we tweeted it out and put it on TikTok. He invites me to play the Opry, and I was just mind blown. And got to, as soon as I found that out, I tried to get on with like the main nudie suits. There's a guy named Manuel that builds all the suits. He's built suits since like I think the 60s, things like that. He's like known as the nudie suit guy. it took a long time in the process, and I couldn't work it out with him. So I went with a lady that was actually out of Texas. She's Russian. Her name's Vera. She builds a lot of jackets. She builds a lot of John Party's jackets, and done a lot of work with a lot of good people. And the fact that she was in Fort Worth made things really easy, because I bus call right out of there. So I'm flying back and forth from Nashville to Fort Worth all the time. And she was wonderful. I showed up, told her what I wanted. She built it from scratch. And my Opry debut for me wasn't for me. I wanted to use that platform in a way where I could showcase my sister and tell her story and dedicate it to her. So I wanted this snooty suit. I wanted this suit to be a reflection of her. Her favorite color was black, which is why the album cover was black. Her favorite rose was the yellow rose of Texas, which was also on the album cover, and it was all over that jacket. I had her signature that she had been practicing signing her name in a little notebook that actually ended up being her will. She had wrote out all her wishes and gave it to my oldest niece to give to me when she passed, so that I could carry out her wishes. And I found her signature on one of the pages, and I used it, and that's on the album cover, and that's also on the jacket on the sleeve. Then I put my logo on the back, and she rhinestoned it up, made it look real cool, and had brand new black Captain boots and a brand new black Resistol. And we went up there with that shine, and I shined for her.
Nice. That's a hell of a story right there.
What was what was your set list during that for the people who didn't catch it?
Well, you only get 2 songs, so I made sure that I wanted to show off my personality too. It was the first time the world to see me on Opry, so I played Roger Miller Light.
Nice.
That's such a good song, man.
I love that song so much.
So good.
I was
listened to
working
it 4 times today.
I was pushing a sled at the gym with it today.
I was buying my bottle of Templeton today.
I honestly, not just because you were coming on today, but it's like every time a podcast, I'm like, I want to listen to their music beforehand as well. So
yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that song. That's a beer drinking tip the hat to one of my favorites, and I wrote that with Brandon Kinney. And so I wanted to show up my personality. So we kicked off to that, and the first words I said was, "Well, it looks like y'all ready to honky tonk, so let's talk." And then we kicked right into Roger Miller. And then after that, I told him the story of my sister and dedicated it to her. And I closed it with my version of I'll Fly Away. There's no way I wasn't going to play the Opry. There's no way I was going to play the Opry and not play I'll Fly Away.
Yeah. And that was on the EP dedicated to your sister, and then also on the shot glass. It was the final song.
Yes, sir.
Great performance.
In the record. Thank you, man. Thank you. It was pretty wild. It was a long day.
Before we go, a couple fan questions. We covered one about what you're drinking these days. Somebody wanted to know the pros and the cons. You're kind of in Nashville now, but what are the kind of the differences with the Texas music scene, Nashville? Any pros and cons that you kind of see, or is it kind of, from your vantage point, you're kind of all over the place now, so you kind of don't see as much of the difference?
I'm sorry, we asked that question.
Did I cut out the pros and cons of like the Texas music scene versus maybe the Nashville music scene? Kind of now that you've moved to Nashville and kind of came from Texas, do you kind of see any major differences or the good and the bad?
Starting out in Texas, the biggest difference for me was the mentality behind the songwriting, behind the artistry, especially in Lubbock. Starting out in Lubbock at the Blue Light, I was so different from all the guys that started out at the Blue Light. I'm really the only honky tonker that came out of there. My music is traditional country with a honky tonk edge. The focal point and the mindset between everybody that was out there at the Blue Light was not to be like each other. It was to be different, be unique, and find your path and your channel as a songwriter. And the environment of being around all those songwriters, we championed each other. We wanted to see each other succeed. We wanted to see each other do great. And we wanted to be right there, part of it. I started out on the singer-songwriter nights on Monday at the Blue Light with Clodo Cordero from Flatland. Like, that's my boy. And watching them succeed doing their own thing. Nobody went and chased what they were doing. There was no chase. It was find your own path and be good friends, be good to each other and cheer each other on, champion each other. With Nashville, it's a lot of chase. You go up there and see people trying to chase success because everybody wants success. Everybody's looking for one. And that can water down music so fast that you just create generic blend of songs and artistry that people don't really find themselves or find who they are to separate themselves. They're just chasing what's hot. And that's not always, obviously that's not always the case up there, but you see it a lot, and you see it a lot more up there than you do in a scene that's built to champion individuality and artistry.
And you guys talk about one thing I brought up, Texas guys, everyone we've had on, I feel like almost, and never once as a Nashville person brought this up, is the word brand. And like, you guys owning your brand and being very cognizant of your like brand, not changing your image. It's about, no, this is me. I am this person. This is my, like, Whiskey Riff is our brand. Like, our voice matters. We can't start posting about this or that because like that doesn't make any fucking sense, you know? So it's like, but it's the same thing. It's like the brand, and you guys are very good at that. I feel like guys that have and gals that have come out of there, feel like all of you have a very clear vision of that.
Yeah, man. And
what it is, or what you know it's going to be, but not changing it.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys that are having major success in Nashville have absolutely found that brand.
Yeah.
I mean,
Luke Combs comes to mind.
That's who I was about to say. That's fishing shirt country, son. That's cold beer on the lake. Like, as soon as you see his image, as soon as you hear his songs, you're like, okay, I get it. I see it. It's clear as day. So there's guys like that. That's why they're so successful, because they have found that brand. And you know, he knew at the gate who he was, and he never steered away from that at all. That's his brand. And I thought that's so important. It'd be like, if for me, I would have been heartbroken if Keith Whitley would have been doing things like Rhinestone Cowboy. That's completely against his brand and his music and who he is. I'm a big fan of Keith Whitley because of who he is. And granted, I'm also a big fan of Glenn. You know? But to start steering away from your brand of music, it's okay to be creative. It's okay to do something a little bit different, but to like completely disown what you've built and who you are, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite things, talking to you, artists, and what we do. It's like when I feel similar. So I appreciate how you said that.
It's interesting too. Like, you could almost make the argument that a guy like who wants to, or a girl who wants to get into country music could move to a town like Lubbock, knowing that they can like hone their craft at a place like the Blue Light in like a very organic and independent way. And there's a scene there. There's clearly a scene for it there. And so many artists have come up playing out of the Blue Light, you know? So it's like, there's almost a case to like, fuck Nashville, man, move to Lubbock and hone your craft. And then once you get it going, maybe then move to Nashville and write with some big songwriter. You know, like,
I think the biggest point to it is Nashville's not the problem by any means. Nashville has been incredible. I've been writing in Nashville since 2016. There's nothing wrong with that town. It's the chase of not figuring out who you are as an artist, and then trying and going all over the place until you figure it out, or never figuring it out. Like that's, you gotta know who you are. That's the biggest deal.
Right on. What's next for you, man? What else you working on? You got a new writing for the next album already, or are you still kind of living on
man.
Shot Glass?
I'm always writing. I don't ever stop. I've got, if we're being honest, I've written my next 3 records, basically. I have that many.
Cut them all. Triple album.
Write a song called Whiskey Riff. I feel like that's
I got one called I Don't Whiskey Anymore. So that's
we'll send a legal document to say you have
we'll give you a third.
We got a trademark. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, man. So I'm always writing. I've got it all in the tank. We're gonna go cut some demos in September, see where that leads. I've kind of got like side project type things going on that, you know, I think for me, I have my commercial side, but I have my edgy side. They're one and the same, but sonically they're just a little bit different in the sense of, I've got an EP that we did just for the fans. It's called Honky Tonk Bullshit. I don't know if you guys have a copy. If you don't, I need to make sure you get a copy.
Send us one.
Yeah.
It's 5 songs that me and my producer went in, and we just wanted to do something that was different from the record. Still 100% me, who I am. I wrote the songs, but it's got this edge to it that is a little more raw, a little more not quite so polished as Shot Glass. It's the edgier side of me. It's the side that wakes up hungover, stepping out of the bus, still smelling like, you know, last night's smoke from the bar, versus the Randall that gets cleaned up.
Nudie suit Randall.
Yeah, it's nudie suit Randall. Like it's me, but it's just a little bit more of a rougher side of me. It's called Honky Tonk Bullshit. 5 songs. It's only available right now. It's only available at live shows, but that's about to change. So
I would love that. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you know, I hope this doesn't offend you, but like there's like a subgenre of music I think you'd be good at. I don't even know what you call it, but like, you know, this George Strait had that song Dance With Me, or it's like you feel like you're in Cabo, like Mexico music, like you want to be like on a beach in Mexico. I'm like, that's, if you throw a few of those in there time and time.
Some trumpets.
I'm not gonna say Jimmy Buffett, but like I'm not gonna say Jimmy, but like you very few guys, especially young guys, could pull that off. And I was like,
it's almost a Tejano vibe.
Yeah.
It's basically what Strait did with Seashores of Old Mexico.
Right. Yeah. I love that. And I feel like you're one of the only people that can kind of like, if you ever get bored and want to
Party does a little bit of that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Come on. I'm always down for trying out.
You're right. You brought up Party, Wes. You're right. Like Party does a little bit of that now.
Yeah, he does.
That's nice that like I'm mad I can't credit the account, but Grady Smith from you, our buddy, the great Grady Smith on YouTube, he shared a meme from somebody. It was like what's that show where the guys are like the Pawn Stars and they're like, the best I can give you is whatever.
Pawn Stars.
Like, and they were like wanting to hear like country music on country radio, and they're like, the best I can give you is John Party. It's like, because it's like John is so good, and it's like people that are like super traditionalists are so happy that at least he's on radio, because it was such a brutal bro country phase, and we love John. We had him on recently, and it's like that's encouraging. The Randall Kings of the world, the John Partys of the world, hell, even like the Luke Combs. It's like it's swinging back, like Wes said, a little bit to that
Carly's 90s coming back.
To add to
Dasha
that,
McBride and all those.
I absolutely love John. I'm a big John fan. What he did with California Sunrise was literally set the tone for who he is and show off who he is. And once it came out with Honky Tonk,
Heartache Medication.
Yeah. Once he came out with Heartache Medication, you could tell that he was swinging a little bit more towards the traditional side of it, like a more Alan Jackson type of record, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And you're watching it, he's already got radio, so now he's leading and channeling country music coming back on radio, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I love that. Great way to end it. Yeah, get us that album though, man. And we gotta see you in person and have some drinks, talk about life.
Yeah, I'm for it. Let's do it.
All right, Randall. Have a good show tonight.
I thank y'all.
Cross another one off the list tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Knocking it off on the bucket list. Well, that's
All right,
Steve.
brother.
Appreciate you, boys.
Cheers, brother.
Enjoy the whiskey, and we'll see you down the Honky Tonk Highway. All right.
All right,
Be good.
Randall. See you,
Hey,
brother.
buddy.